everyone. As you're coming in, just want to say a big hi from Insightful Accountant. My name is Kristen Seraldo. I'll be hosting the webinar with Relay today. They're going to talk to you about banking, all the things that are good with banking and how you can use banking to better connect with clients. So we're going to give everyone a few minutes just to get settled and make sure that everything is a-okay. If you could throw your name and where you are in the world in the chat and just let us know that you can see the screen, that would be fantastic. Great. Okay, so we're going to give people just a minute to kind of come in and get settled. Thanks for joining us. Today we have Deanna Zubrikis and Blake Oliver from Relay, and they're going to be talking with us about how you can level up your client's cash flow clarity by becoming a banking partner. And I think this is something that maybe we don't think about it as accountants and bookkeepers, but having a good relationship with a bank can really streamline things. 62% of all small businesses have had at least one cash flow problem, and 82% of businesses fail due to cash flow problems. And how wonderful would it be to have a go-to bank that could really help you diagnose things during that time? How does being a banking partner help? It can offer you tools, strategies, and insights for clients to make highly informed decisions about their day-to-day banking and their cash flow, which can lead to a more financially healthy business. And we're going to hear from Blake and Deanna about why they think Relay is a perfect choice for this kind of relationship. Blake is, I'm sure you have heard of him. He's accounting community advocate at Relay, but he is also the founder of Earmark CPE and co-host of the Cloud Accounting podcast. And Deanna is the product specialist at Relay, and her job is to talk to accountants and bookkeepers about referring banking to Relay. We also have Olivia Cummings in the mix. She is an events and programming manager for Relay, and she will be more than happy to answer questions. You can ask questions either in the chat or, more importantly, in the Q&A button, so we're sure to see things. And Deanna, Blake, welcome. Just so you know, we have 3 CPE questions that will make this session eligible for CPE, so make sure you stick around to answer all of those to get your CPE. And with that, we'll turn it over to Blake and Deanna. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. I'm coming to you from sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. How about you, Deanna?
Gloomy Toronto today. I always like to Google in what our Celsius is in Fahrenheit, since you're down there in the States. So it's 15 Celsius and 59 Fahrenheit. So.
Okay. Well, today it will be like double the temperature here.
Oh my goodness.
Perhaps something like that. But enough about my troubles in the summer in Phoenix. Actually, I just stay inside. That's the trick. And go swimming. Swimming's good. Let's go ahead and get started because we got a lot to go over today. We got a lot to talk about. I'm very excited to bring you this webinar in partnership with Relay. So today we are talking about creating cash flow clarity through better banking. And this is something that I'm very passionate about because when I was a bookkeeper, when I was an accountant, I'm a CPA now, I always found this big disconnect between what I was delivering to clients and what they really wanted. And part of the problem was they didn't know what they wanted to see. And the financial statements I was delivering to them as part of my monthly bookkeeping deliverable weren't really all that helpful. And it took me years and years to learn why. And really, I had to become an entrepreneur myself. You know, I started my own firm, and working with entrepreneurs, I realized that with small businesses in particular, we need to focus on cash, and banking's a big part of that. And traditional financial statements were designed for big businesses and don't really meet that need. So we're going to talk about how we can be better partners to our clients, better advisors to our clients by creating this cash flow clarity. And banking is a big part of that. So we've got a few things we're going to talk about today on the agenda: state SMB cash flow, the role of banking, becoming a banking partner. We'll do a walkthrough of Relay. Deanna's going to show you what Relay is and how it works. Then we'll talk about how to have conversations with clients about moving to better banking, and we'll leave time for Q&A. Please go ahead and enter your questions in the Q&A as we go. We may even answer them as we go, or we'll save them for the end. But if you have a question, we got plenty of time here to answer those. The session is being recorded and will be emailed to you afterward. And with that, let's get to our first polling question. What accounting software do you use? Select all that apply. QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, Xero, or other. And is there anything I need to be doing on my end to launch this polling question? Let's see here. There we go. So you should now see poll number 1 coming up on your screen. What accounting software do you use? QuickBooks Online, QuickBooks Desktop, Xero, or other. Go ahead and click on your response, and then don't forget to hit submit so that we can count your response for CPE credit. I'm a big fan of Xero. I also have used QuickBooks Online in the past. I'm not using much desktop these days. It's been a while since I opened a desktop file, thankfully. Okay, going once, going twice. I think everybody's probably had enough time to.
Okay, we're going to end in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
There we go. All right. So we can see we've got 78% on QuickBooks Online, 44% on desktop, 22% on Xero, and 33% on other. All right, let's talk about the state of cash flow for most small business clients. Most small business owners, they're running profitable businesses. That's usually not the problem with most small businesses, but they struggle to understand their financial health. And a lot of that is due to not understanding the cash flow of their business. They lack expertise in accounting, or they lack the time to dig into their numbers. And that can result in a lack of planning, poor financial management, and in the worst cases, the business is shutting down. So think about your clients when we're talking about this. Think about your clients who are having trouble understanding if they are profitable or not. Or maybe they're profitable, but they don't understand their cash balance. They see the balance in the bank and they have trouble understanding how that ties out to their net profit at the end of the year. They have long-term goals and they need money to make it happen. Or they don't have any forecasting in place for their cash management. Or maybe they're having trouble managing employee spend or sticking to a budget. Often our clients have seasonal businesses and they have trouble managing their bank balance in the slower periods. Or these are businesses that have a lot of money movement either within the business or to a number of vendors, and it creates this picture that's very cloudy for them. They don't know exactly where they are. So that creates a problem. Based on Intuit's 2019 State of Cash Flow report, we know that 62% of all small and medium businesses have faced at least one cash flow issue in their lifetime. And that is not abstract, okay? It deeply affects business owners. The same Intuit survey also found that 69% of business owners have lost sleep worrying about money, whether they had an issue or not. So as the trusted accountant or bookkeeper, we are close to the numbers in our clients' businesses, and we support a crucial business area that requires thought and foresight. So the idea here is that with the right approach and the right technology, you can provide the kind of real-time financial data and recommendations to your clients that was previously reserved for big businesses only. So let's take a look at the role that banking plays in this. Now, before we dive into how banking actually impacts cash flow management, we need to get inside the minds of business owners. Business owners, they don't think like us accountants. They practice most of the time what we call bank balance budgeting. So what does that mean? Bank balance budgeting. It means that they're not reading the financial statements that we send them. I would have to guess that like fewer than half of my clients, if I'm being generous, actually looked at the financial statements that I sent them every month as much as I wanted them to. If I sat down with them, we could look through them, but then that created its own set of problems, because then I ended up explaining the difference between accrual and cash every single month. They keep a mental list of bills and receivables, right? So this is how they do it. They don't look at the financial statements. They're looking at the bank balance. They've got this list of bills and receivables, and they're doing rough mental math to figure out, where do I actually stand? How much money do I actually have? And whether it's buying materials or paying contractors or collecting money, depending on, or making big purchases or allocating money for taxes and owner's pay, the bank is where it starts. Since clients rely so much on their bank accounts, the bank is a big opportunity for us as accountants and bookkeepers to deliver greater impact on our clients' long-term business goals. So they're in there all the time, every day, most of the time. A recent survey found that 78% of small business owners are looking for their accountant to be a trusted advisor. And a separate survey revealed some of the top complaints small businesses have about their accountant. It includes being reactive, a lack of guidance, and not providing enough advice. So you might feel that advising your clients on bank and checking accounts is not part of your role, but I disagree. I think that your client actually wants to hear from you. They do. They tell us that in surveys. So you have two options. You can embrace client habits, or you can change client habits. And a lot of us, I spent time doing this, a long time trying to do this in my practice, where I tried to convince clients to not look at their bank balance. I said, let's do financial statements. We'll do the accrual accounting. For most of them, it just didn't work. It's very difficult to change people's habits, right? I'm an accountant. I'm not a psychologist. And I don't have the time. Unfortunately, for most small businesses, we don't have the time to sit there like as if we're their in-house CFO and explain all this stuff. So the second option is really what I ended up with. And that's embracing what they are doing and trying to help them do it better. It's easier to adapt to somebody's habit than to completely change it. And when we meet our clients where they are, right, it helps us offer additional services. It builds trust. So let's get to our second polling question here. How many clients do you serve on a monthly basis? And that poll should be coming up now on your screen. How many clients do you serve on a monthly basis? 1 to 10, 11 to 30, 31 to 50, 51 to 100, or 100 or more.
We'll give that just a few more seconds here, allow people to answer. And we'll close the poll off in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Okay.
In the middle.
So we've got half and half, 1 to 10, and 11 to 30. Great. That was that's interesting, because that was like what I determined to be my personal limit with clients I was handling personally. Was I couldn't do more than 30. And this is if I'm doing monthly accounting services for them. It's just really hard to have that many relationships, more than that, and have them be meaningful. And I like to think of it like a classroom, right? A teacher in a classroom, 30 students is like the most you could have, and have like a individual relationship. And even smaller is better, right? If you have like that 20-person class, or if you're in a seminar in college and there's like a dozen people or half a dozen, that's where you get like the really good attention. And so it's interesting. That was always my like limiting capacity management number when I was hiring bookkeepers, is I'd say each bookkeeper who worked at my firm could handle at most 30 clients based on the small businesses that we were working with. And actually, we did that rather than count hours. And it worked out really well for capacity planning. All right, so we're meeting clients where they are. That's why we need to become banking partners, right? That's what this all was about up to this point, is clients are doing bank balance accounting. They're looking at their bank balance, and that's how they're managing things. So rather than present financial statements and try to help them reconcile their bank balance to all this stuff that we're giving them, income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows. I mean, that stuff all needs to be done. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's the way to help them like improve how they're managing their cash flow, if that makes sense. It takes too much time for us to put all that together quickly enough to actually like make a meaningful difference for them. So we can take what they're doing now, which is the bank balance accounting, and we can improve it. And that's banking powered cash flow advisory. So what is a banking partner? A banking partner offers tools, strategies, and insights, facilitates highly informed decisions about money, creates cash flow clarity, and champions financially healthy businesses. For you, it streamlines your accounting and bookkeeping workflows while giving you time back to focus on more value-added services to your clients. Being a banking partner can be grouped into two areas of work. Some you're probably already doing. The first is advising clients on banking services, having an opinion about what bank they should be using. The second is using the banking services to offer banking-powered cash flow advisory. Now, the final way banking services can support your firm is by creating the opportunity for you to offer banking advisory services to your clients and increase your value while deepening your client relationships. You'll be able to reconcile accounts 5 times faster. You'll have less back and forth with your clients. You can always log into client banking when you need it. You can centralize and automate bill pay, and that helps you deepen client relationships because you can spend more time talking to them and less time doing all this, what was this transaction for? Or trying to get a statement from them. And the third way is increasing clarity around money in their business, using multiple checking accounts to organize and earmark income. When clients use a banking service like Relay, you can create multiple no-fee accounts to support your business operations and goals. Multiple no-fee accounts, and you can help them set those up. So for instance, you could have a tax account, set aside money for your estimated tax payments or your sales tax payments. And that way it's all separate from the operating account. You're not going to mix it up. You know that that is not yours. The business owner knows that's not theirs. That creates clarity for them. Now, you could do that on a balance sheet, but that doesn't create clarity for them because they're not looking at that balance sheet every day. So advising clients on banking services, that's the first part of being a banking partner. And then when you add in banking-powered cash flow advisory, you open the door to offering greater value to clients and helping them run more financially healthy businesses. You can help them put their money to work while reducing their fear of making mistakes. Banking-powered cash flow advisory means you can help clients create financially healthy, successful businesses. As revenue comes into the business, you can allocate money to the appropriate accounts and give them near real-time transparency into the money in their business. So we call these smart operating accounts. If you are working with an agency, you could help them set up checking accounts for each project that they're working on. You could, for a property management company, help them set up accounts for each property. For a cafe or a restaurant, you could help them set up accounts for each location. However they like to track their money, you can help them create the accounts because you've got plenty of them with Relay, and they're easy to set up and easy to manage. And it's really just depending on the business. So for instance, I myself with Earmark, we do podcast production. So I set up an account for each of the productions that I'm running, and then I can separate the funds out. So I know here's the client subscription for that production, or they've paid the fee. and then all of the expenses come out of that account for that project. Now, yes, you might say you could do that in an accounting system, right? But most of our clients are not in that system every single day in the small business side. So for them, really being able to do it on the banking side simplifies things dramatically. And we can still do that project accounting in the accounting system, and having the funds separated into these different accounts can even help us a lot, because now we know all the funds in this particular account, all the income and expenses related to this project. So it actually is a win-win in a way. It doesn't create more work. And as Deanna will show you, one of the biggest objections to having lots and lots of accounts is the effort to reconcile them. But with Relay and the direct connections that you have with Xero and QuickBooks Online, you don't have to worry about that. The reconciliations are a lot cleaner. And in my experience, we use Relay for our podcast and my production company. I don't think I've had a single situation where I missed a transaction in the feed. Like the bank feed works, which is kind of a mind-blowing thing, right? Like it should just all work that way, right? Every bank, the feed should just work. But as you know, those of you who use QuickBooks Online Xero, that is often not the case. So the smart operating account, you're seeing here a screenshot of like the home screen in Relay. It allows your client to log into the bank, understand where their money is, see how it's allocated, how it's being spent. They can make informed spending decisions for their business day to day. And that means you can proactively engage your clients in conversations around business budgeting and cash flow forecasting. If their tax provision account is empty, it's very easy to see that, okay, we haven't made a tax provision. We haven't set some money aside yet this quarter. Let's go do that now in our conversation. It's sort of a dashboard for the cash flow in the business. And there's other methodologies for doing this kind of, plenty of methodologies for doing this kind of cash flow advisory. And so you can set up all the accounts that you need to do that. And you can help your clients reach financial goals with this kind of advisory service. So for example, a client might have a business goal to pay down debt or expand the business in the next 12 months. You could set up an account to support that goal. Recommend a plan with a timeline to reach that goal based on the existing financials. Then you report on it regularly with your cash flow forecasting models. And so in the case of paying down debt, maybe the client is trying to save up some funds, set up an automatic transfer into that account. They can actually see it happening every month, or they can do it every week or every day. To me, that kind of service is invaluable. A lot of clients are trying to pay down debt. They want to save up for a big investment. It gets you into these conversations with clients that's about what their goals are, what their objectives are. Maybe it's increasing the amount of money they're taking out of the business as an owner, that sort of thing. That's a meaningful thing that will change their life if you can help them increase that. The last part of banking-powered cash flow advisory is offering accounts payable with banking. Paying bills from a traditional bank account, it's a manual process. Most of the time, bills can be paid only one by one. There's no integration. There's no connection to the checking accounts, to the bills being created or managed in QuickBooks Online and Xero. Relay Pro eliminates the need for a third-party tool by integrating the accounts payable feature directly into your client's bank account. So you're not having to use a separate accounts payable solution. It's right there in your client's bank account. It actually makes it really easy to collaborate with them, in my opinion, because they're already logging into their bank. Now their bills are syncing from QuickBooks Online from Xero into the payments tab, the payments, window or view in Relay, and they can see everything that they owe, right? And then they can proactively decide to pay it, or you can manage that whole process for them. And I've said earlier that clients want this, right? We've got proof, we've got data to show this. A recent survey found that 78% of small business owners are looking for their accountant to be a trusted advisor. And a separate survey revealed that some of the top complaints small businesses have about their accountant include being reactive, lack of guidance, and not providing enough advice. So you might feel, I know this objection always comes up in these presentations, that my clients don't want me to tell them what bank to use, how to manage their checking. It's not part of my role. My role is to just collect the data, compile it, present it. But I disagree. Your client doesn't have anyone else doing that for them, unfortunately. And so we have to step up and do that. They want us to do that. I can't tell you how many times I had clients ask me, what bank should I use? I hate my bank. And I didn't really have a good answer for them until Relay. So banking advisory provides the tools, strategies, and insights so clients can make better money decisions. You get increased financial confidence and clarity about your clients' businesses. There's growth opportunities for you and your accounting firm, and it deepens your relationships with clients, all big benefits. All right, so I'm sure you're eager to see Relay now. So I'm going to turn things over to Deanna, and she is going to give us a walkthrough of Relay.
Absolutely, the long-awaited walkthrough. So yes, let's walk through this. And again, anybody that has questions about what we're looking at in the Relay platform, please pop it in the Q&A box, and we'll definitely address it.
And Deanna, we did have a question come through from Angie about the bank feed. She says, so Relay is like the bank feed in QBO?
So Relay is an actual bank. So we are 100% virtual. We've got no physical locations. And I think sometimes that's a little bit of the misconception here. It's not only, of course, do we have a way better bank feed than you would have at your typical banks, because we have that direct feed built into QBO and Xero, but we're actually the bank as well. So a bank with a lot of benefits, I guess you could say. And the whole reason we created something like Relay is because we know a lot of small business owners struggle with things like fees, banking technology, access to your bank. And that's very similar things that you struggle with as an advisor with banking as well. So, you know, out of all of the clients that you have and all the banks you look at, who shouldn't have a referral more than a bookkeeper or an accountant, right? You know about all the issues out there. So that's kind of where we were coming from with Relay. And what we're looking at right now is what we call our advisor portal, so our accountant dashboard. And this is created to be very similar to your QBO dashboard or your Xero HQ, whereas all of your clients that use QBO are in one spot. All of your clients that choose to bank with Relay can also be found in one spot. So you sign in once and you get access to all of your clients that choose to bank with us. So another way that Relay can help you create more efficiency, because typically all of your clients are with different banks. So it's multiple different access points, whether it's you're sharing 2FA codes, sharing, unfortunately, personal passwords, and all that kind of stuff, just to access their bank feed or their statements. Now, one thing that I want to point out about Relay is that all of our core banking functionalities are free. So opening your checking accounts, making basic payments, that direct feed with QBO, and of course, all the accounts are FDIC insured. But there's also no sign-up fee, there's no monthly fee, and there's no minimum balance requirement. So I'm sure many of you have clients that struggle with those monthly fees, or maybe they do want to look into cash flow management and need multiple accounts, but it's just going to cost too much for them. Relay is great to support something like that. Now, another main job of advisors is the reconciliation, but typically that involves a whole lot of questions on your end, right? And a lot of them end up centering around check deposits. Now, in Relay, when you do a check deposit through our mobile app, you actually receive, who made that deposit. You've got the check image, but you also have a note left about that check. So this is specifically to eliminate any questions for whoever's doing those books as to why that check is there. You've got all the information that you need. Now, other than check images, typically reconciliation is a whole lot of Googling, right? And you get to know most of the brands over time, but there's always new ones that surprise you. So something that Relay offers is what we like to call enriched data. Now, part of that enriched data is the brand logo and names popping up for the transactions here. But as we know, there's always ones that we don't recognize. So let's look at the Sutter Stockton transaction here. And keep in mind, these are all transactions from a Relay debit card. Now, when we click into the transaction, of course, we see information like the amount and the date, but you can also see that Relay has categorized this as a parking lot. So immediately, I understand what it is. But as I keep scrolling, I also have the vendor phone number, the website, the address, and the map location. So typically all the information you're Googling anyways. right, is right there directly on your bank feed. And maybe this opens up more of your time to offer cash flow management services, to take on more clients. We spend less time doing the busy work and can get on to other things. Now, let's take a look at the account options here in Relay. So each business can have up to 20 checking accounts. You can see I've got 10 open here. And what's important to note about these is they're not sub accounts. It's not an envelope system. They are all true individual checking accounts. So they have all their own unique account and routing numbers. So if you are wanting to do some cash flow management, it's really easy to open up multiple accounts, whether it's project-based or you're separating your profit, your tax. You have the option to really create your own banking experience here, which is a pretty cool idea. Now, business owners can create new checking accounts whenever they want. You put in a nickname and you select who else in your business has access, if anyone does at all. Now, of course, statements is another large part of your role here. And keep in mind, we do have that direct bank feed with QBO and Xero. But of course, you can still access all statements under the Statements tab here. And if you are working with multiple checking accounts, you can select the file type, but also select all of the checking accounts at once. Now, next step is typically, how do I fund a virtual bank account like Relay? Well, you can see we can do mobile check deposits, you can accept payments into Relay, but Relay also connects to 100% of US banks. So you can see we've got all of the larger corporate banks listed here, but I'm sure many of clients out there bank locally. So you can directly input account and routing numbers from your local branch. It's always free to transfer your funds into Relay and takes 1 business day. So if you're thinking, oh, I don't think my clients are wanting to switch their banks, we offer the idea of looking at Relay as the operating account. So maybe not always, leaving that existing relationship that you have, keep a checking account open at your local branch if you'd like, but shift more of the daily activity into Relay as the true operating account. And you still find the value that way, but you're not giving up what you know at the same time. Now, of course, when it comes to cash flow management and using multiple checking accounts, internal transfers are going to be a huge part of that. And you can do that under the Move Money button here. Now, you can transfer from one checking account to multiple at the same time, and you can do so by dollar amount and by percentage. Now, up until recently, this was a manual function, but we have made an update where you can now set up recurring transfers, which allows you to introduce a little bit more of automation here, which is always a great idea. Okay, let's head on to the card option here. So many of you have clients that use expense cards, or maybe they're working with reimbursements right now. But Relay offers up to 50 debit cards per business. So if you're, a solo business, obviously 50 is overkill, but I'm sure many of you are working with staff and you can create debit cards on the go. They can be virtual, they can be physical. And if you are working on a project base like Blake suggested, you're able to set up those debit cards and associate them with specific checking accounts, depending on what their use is. Now, what's really nice is at any time, business owners have full control over these cards. So even after they're activated, you're able to edit daily transaction limits, daily ATM limits, but arguably more important, freeze the card and change the PIN. So I'm sure we can all think of an example when this would have been very useful and you're not having to call a support line or rush to a branch. All of that information is right at your fingertips, which as a business owner is pretty fantastic news. Okay, so let's talk about payment options on Relay. So Blake definitely alluded that we do have AP built directly into Relay. So we have 2 options. We've got a Relay Standard and a Relay Pro. So we'll talk about Relay Standard first. That is free and default on every single Relay account. That's going to allow you to do next day ACH payments for free. And it also allows you to do check payments for free. Now, being a virtual bank, we're a little bit different here. We don't provide you with a physical checkbook, but you give us the info and Relay will print and send that check on your behalf for free. So it still allows you to pay by check. It's just we're automating that process for you and you're no longer printing your own checks or hand signing anything. And then many businesses out there do wires. Domestic wires on Relay are $5 and international wires are $10. We do have a really cool function here. Let's say you're setting up a payee for the first time on Relay. You've never paid them before, so you don't have any of their banking information. You can actually request their banking details directly from the payee. So they're prompted to fill out all of their own information, and you're not left chasing around any sensitive info via email. But one step further than that, you're also able to require W-9 forms.
Killer feature alert right
there.
I just used this myself last week.
Okay, so
yes.
Real life example. Usually I like to pause here for a round of applause, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Blake. And what's really nice about this is if you do choose to require the W-9, your payee actually cannot receive the payment until they've uploaded the W-9. So yeah. Absolutely love that. I actually had an advisor tell me the other day, oh, so Relay kind of becomes the bad guy in that situation. I like that.
Yes. Anything that makes the app the bad guy, as opposed to me having to be the bad guy. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And then after you have required a few W-9s, you do have the option to run a W-9 report as well. So we'll extract all the info for you and put it into a CSV file for you to export. So hopefully January isn't so bad next year if you're using Relay. So that's the extent of Relay Standard. Again, free and default on every single Relay account. But many businesses need a little bit more of automation or something more built out for their accounts payable. So that's where we turn to look at Relay Pro. Now, Relay Pro is the upgraded version of Relay. It's a subscription. So it's the only cost involved with Relay, but it's 100% optional. So you decide what works best for your clients. But Relay Pro is $30 monthly for anybody that chooses to use it. And there's a few things that come along with that $30. So firstly, all of your unpaid bills that are populating in QBO or Xero will automatically sync directly into Relay every 3 hours. So it's centralizing all of your bill payments in your actual bank rather than externally in a third party. Now, Relay is the bank, so of course you're making payments directly on these bills in Relay. As soon as you issue a payment in Relay, that unpaid bill in QBO or Xero will actually update itself to a paid bill. So it leaves you with one-click reconciliation, which is pretty great. Now, of course, what is accounts payable without approval workflows? So that is absolutely an option within Relay Pro as well. You can customize single and multi-stage approvals. You can see here, we've customized a 2-tier approval. We've made it mandatory that Skylar and Will, maybe they're the business owners, they both must approve this bill before it goes off to the next tier here, where 4 individuals are involved, and only one of them needs to approve it. Once that's complete, the bill is ready for payment. So you're able to customize those directly in Relay. Now, we've seen that Relay Pro includes all of the bills syncing directly into Relay from QBO or Xero. It has the approval workflows that you can customize, but it also includes unlimited same-day ACH and unlimited international and domestic wires. So many of you may have clients that do all of their AP, directly on a credit card. Everything's automated, but they happen to need a lot of same-day payments or they do a lot of wires. That's where Relay Pro also comes in handy, because I'm sure, as we all know, many banks can charge $30 per wire, where at Relay, $30 for unlimited is pretty much unmatched. So absolutely love that feature, and is something to keep in mind with your clients. Now, for the approvals in Relay Pro here, we do ours by dollar amount. So you select a qualifier, you put in a minimum and maximum, and then whether you'd like a 1-stage or multi-stage approval. And what is nice about this approval process is there are, third-party vendors out there that charge you per login or per license to set up approvals or to be involved in that process. But anybody associated with your Relay account at admin level can be involved in the approval process. It does not change the fee. It's still just the flat $30. So that's the walkthrough of Pro specifically. Again, that section, that upgrade is $30 monthly, but still, it can be free, it can be Pro, whatever really works best for your business.
And Deanna, one thing I want to highlight that I really like about the Pro and the bill pay is that it works well for clients of different sizes. Mm-hmm. And it works well whether or not I am myself doing and managing the bill pay process. So you could have a client that's smaller, they just want to pay their own bills, and they can go and do that. They can actually do that with the free Relay just by making payments, right? They could choose to upgrade to sync the bills in if they want to do that. And it's simple enough where they can really go and do it. They can actually do it. With most of the AP solutions I have used, I have yet to see a client actually set up and use that properly on their own. And if they're doing it in Relay, I have clean data to be able to reconcile their books. Exactly. And then if they want me to take it on, well, yes, I can do that too. We can have the approvals. They could just become the approver, and my team sets up everything. And as you're going to show us, right, we have the team roles with access permissions that allow us to actually do that safely.
Yeah, exactly. Much like how I said when we were looking at the checking accounts and the cards, you're creating your own banking experience, but that lends itself to the accounts payable as well. Whether you're involving, your advisor or not, you're still able to make it what you need, which I think is pretty nice. Alrighty. Now, yes, Blake, absolutely. Let's talk about the team tab here. So Relay is built specifically for safe and secure collaboration. So if this is my business on Relay and I hire a virtual assistant tomorrow, I can invite them directly to my Relay bank account. And I, as the business owner, I'm in charge of the permission level. So I can change it to whatever permission suits their role in the company, and I can change this at any time. Now, it works very similarly for advisors on Relay. Now, you'll have the opportunity to invite your clients directly to use Relay, but your client is still in charge of what your access level is, which is exactly how we want it. Now, unlike most traditional banks, read-only access is the only thing you'll get if you're lucky, right? So you have that if you're doing reconciliation. But like Blake suggested, maybe we are paying bills for the client. So you have that option as well. But maybe you're helping them with cash flow management and you're transferring in funds from their local branch into Relay. You can have that access too. It's not all or nothing, which I think is really important when offering banking services as part of your service bundle. And lastly here, we come to settings. So this is where you're going to set up 2FA to keep your account as secure as possible. But a really, really cool feature here, if you own multiple businesses or your clients do, and there's always one of them, once you have one business registered on Relay, you can actually register all of the other businesses under the same set of credentials. So they pretty much see that dashboard we saw at the beginning, but just all of their own businesses under one set of login and password. So it really consolidates everything for them and for you as well. Now, of course, here we've got our integration. So we mentioned our direct bank feed with QBO and Xero, and Blake can attest it has never broken, which is some fantastic news, pretty unbelievable, I'm sure, for many people out there. But this is where you would come to connect that bank feed. You come to connect your bill pay. And as of recently, we also integrate with Gusto. So if you are, yes, Blake, do we have something to add?
Well, I was going to say the nice feature of the bank feed is it updates every few hours, as opposed to daily. So I'm not having to go in and click refresh in my client's account. It's already there, which actually, if you have to do that, I know that's one of the pain points of Xero is you have to go and click update and then wait. That can save you a lot of time over 20 clients, right? If you're doing that on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Blake. And lastly, here we've got our Gusto integration too. So if that's part of your tech stack, the more information, the better in your bank account, really. So similar to the card transaction data, we'll give you that with your Gusto transactions as well. So for your salaried employees here, we've got our Gusto net payment. You can actually see the payroll cycle associated with this payment. And then for anybody that pays contractors through Gusto, of course, they'll all show up individually, but you can actually zoom in and see who the contractor was and what the payment method was. Next, Gusto will also provide insufficient funds warnings if you are choosing to run your payroll through the Relay checking account. This shows up 2 weeks before your payroll is due and gives you tons of time to transfer in funds to make sure that we can make payroll. And the last part of the Gusto integration is if you've got clients already set up in Gusto and now they want to, of course, open a Relay bank account. Instead of doing all that double data entry, you're able to import them directly from the Gusto database, set them up with a permission level, and ship a debit card directly to their door. And then, of course, all of the firms today watching are going to be signing up for Relay, adding on all their clients. And that means you're going to need to switch in between your clients on Relay, which is pretty dang easy. So all you have to do is select switch client, and you're directly back to your portal page where you can switch into your own bank account or any client that is using Relay. I think what's important to note here is if you want to explore using Relay, you don't need to sign up for a bank account by any means, but getting the portal is what's most important here. It allows you to switch in between your clients that are using Relay, but it allows you to invite them directly as well. So all you do is fill out some preliminary business info. This kicks off an email invite to your client. It shows them all the documents they need to upload. But the key here is as soon as they're approved, they automatically show up on your portal here. So you've already got your direct access and you don't have to fight for it, which is a typical struggle every time you're onboarding a new client. Okay, so that is our official walkthrough of Relay. I'm going to switch my screen share back to Blake and take it away.
Awesome. That was great. And that was really just there's a lot more we can talk about, right? When it comes to Relay's features and all the things you can do with it. I think one of the things I want to highlight before we get into how to talk to clients about Relay is those team permissions. I don't know about you, but when I had my firm, I would get a read-only login from a client. That was actually like one of our first onboarding steps when I got a new client was, okay, here's a set of instructions that I've created for how to set up a read-only login with Chase or with Wells Fargo or with Bank of America. And then often I'd have to get on the phone with them. Thankfully, we have Zoom now and screen share is like a regular thing. When I was doing it 10 years ago, that was newer. And so I would actually get on the phone and have to like describe what to do without being able to see it in many cases.
Wow.
Even though it's easier now, right? What you're getting is a read-only login. And that gets shared with the team. So I would save it in hopefully in a password manager at least, right? And then delegate access to that to the bookkeeper, the manager on the team. And then they would use that to get in and get the CSV files to import, to connect the bank feed, all that. The problem is, what if somebody leaves my firm, which happens to all of us? Turnover is a huge thing. Well, from a security standpoint, best practice, I should be changing that read-only password, but I have to get the client to do that. Does that actually happen? No. Like 99% of the time, it doesn't happen. And so what you have is a situation where you've got passwords and usernames floating around with ex-employees having access to those if they've saved them somewhere on their computer at home or whatever. And you could do a lot of damage with that information. It's a huge security risk that just sort of we live with as firms most of the time. And so for me, like that is like a killer feature of Relay. If you want to protect your firm and your clients from somebody having an account, the account information, or to be able to connect like an ACH pull and start drawing funds out of there, you really need to secure that account.
Yeah.
And so go ahead, Deanna.
Oh, I was going to say, and that's the example of the banks actually providing read-only access, which many of them don't, or they make you pay for it, right? So the other option is sharing all that password information, the personal passwords, and that as well.
Well, and that's a recipe for disaster. I think I had like one client where they wanted to give me I did have clients that wanted to give me their login. I don't know why people are so trusting, but sometimes they are. And where I would feel comfortable having that personally, I couldn't delegate that to an employee ever. And honestly, it's a lot of risk that I really shouldn't have having that password anyway. Like, what if somebody stole it and I get blamed for whatever happens, right? Not good. So just avoiding all those problems in the first place is great. And one of the things that's nice is, let's say you want to help clients set up Relay accounts, bank accounts. You can do that with Relay, and then you can set them up with their admin login and then have them change your permissions. So if you want to be really secure, they can manage that. And then you would only have the access that you want to have. If that's something that's concerning to you, up to you. And then, of course, for the team members, being able to delegate the read-only access, the bill pay access, and when they leave, turn it off for all the clients is fantastic, right? So that alone for me is a big reason. I haven't seen any other bank that offers this functionality for accountants. and bookkeepers. It just like doesn't exist. So hopefully, you are excited about Relay and modern banking and providing this service to clients. I think just like we manage QuickBooks for clients, or just like we manage Gusto or payroll, or whatever you're doing for clients, you can manage Relay for them. You can manage the banking for them. And that means, like, if they get a new employee, provision that debit card with that limit. Ask the business owner what they want to do. You can, when you're onboarding that employee onto payroll, you can also set them up with whatever they need to be successful in their job. And that's a huge added value to a client. Just the same way you might manage their payroll for them, now you can manage the banking for them, and you can transfer the funds. And there's really great ways to actually have your hand in the money securely and help them move all that around. I think a lot of the reason we haven't wanted to be involved is because of the security risks in the past. And now we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to talk about how to have conversations with clients about changing banks, because that is the biggest problem. That's the biggest objection to getting clients onto Relay, both from accountants and from clients. And I think part of the problem is a lot of times we just don't talk to them about the challenges they're having. And so we don't know how unhappy they are. So the first step is actually ask every client you have the next time you talk to them, how happy are you with your bank? And you'll probably find out that there's something that they aren't happy with. I think very few people are like in love with their bank. If they are, that's wonderful. I still think there's a place for Relay, but we'll talk about that. Often you can dig into specifics. You can say, like, are you paying a lot of fees? And you can actually see that in their accounts. That's another way you could figure out, where you could help, is like, look at how much they're paying for wire transfers, or look and see how much they're paying for other bank fees. Are they paying money to have these checking accounts? For the Relay, you get them for free, right? Paying bills, maybe their bank is charging them for paying bills way more than it would cost to do it with Relay, that sort of thing. Notate those answers, right? And then, we'll map that to what we could do with Relay for them. Client answers might sound like, I'm losing all this money to fees. I waste so much time looking up confusing transactions, right? Like, you're asking them for information because you don't have what you need. Like, if that's the case with a client where like you're always asking them about what this is, Relay could be a solution for that. Maybe they're unhappy with the service, and the two-factor authentication is often a big problem for them. If they've got one of those banks that like requires them to carry around a fob with like a token on it, and they don't have that with them most of the time, like you should be able to do that on a mobile app, right? It's not acceptable anymore. And specifically when it comes to service, right? Like, we can actually think of ourselves as a personal concierge banker with Relay. The same way we have learned to do this with payroll and with bill pay, we can now do this with banking services. So like, I became the point of contact for my client with everything to do with payroll, onboarding, offboarding employees, giving raises, right? Now, I wasn't calculating payroll myself. I had a partner to do that, the app, but I was the interface between the client and that app. And with Relay, we can do the same kind of thing. Client answers could also sound like, I want separate logins for my staff, right? I'm nervous about giving logins to my employees, or giving my banking login to my employee. They have trouble paying bills. They have to go into a branch to do everything, which is kind of crazy still, like that even after a pandemic, they still haven't figured out, most banks, how to do stuff without you going into a branch. I have a whole story about how I tried to open a new account for a new business in the lockdowns. It didn't go well. It took like 3 months to actually get my debit card and start running. And somebody on the phone, this was actually, hey, I can say who it is, Bank of America. Somebody on the phone actually told me, like, oh yeah, like, we have this ability to open an account online, but don't use it. Last answer might be, I wish there was more clarity into card spending, right? So they've got one credit card, everybody's spending on the credit card, it's getting handed around the office, or they're all sharing it online because they're virtual. Like, that is a recipe for disaster too, because who knows who's spending what? and maybe stuff should be turned off. Maybe it's going over budget. I think that the ability to set spend limits on each individual debit card is a great way to do cash budgeting. So most small business clients don't do traditional budgeting in their accounting software. Like that's just way beyond them. But you can actually do basic budgeting with that limit on that debit card. You can say, this card is just for my advertising expense on Google, and I'm going to set a limit of X dollars per day. And if it starts to go over that, it'll stop working, right? That's a lot easier in terms of budgeting than waiting, until the next month to figure out that you went over budget. So I'm going to get skipping toward the end because we're running out of time. I realize I've been having so much time chatting about the benefits of this. Let's see. This is the important part. Asking clients, do you want to hire any new employees during the next year? These are questions you should ask. Are you planning any expansions for the next 12 months? Do you have any large purchases? Are you going to be looking for any financing soon? Right. These are questions that lead to, I could use clarity around banking, around my money. So to summarize, your clients, they want an advisor. They want help with cash flow. They are changing banks. They want to change banks, and we can help them do that. 55% of small businesses changed banks in 2019, and a third are considering it after the pandemic. So if you have 10 clients, that means at least 3 of them are actively considering a new bank. And 87% of small businesses say their accountant is a top trusted advisor. So they're going to turn to you. They may not know to turn to you for banking advice. They may not know that that's something that you can help with. I think that would be a great thing. So you can learn even more about becoming a banking partner. You can learn how to do this through Relay's certification. I was really happy to be a part of this. If you do the certification, you'll see me. I open up the certification. I'm part of all these videos, and we talk about, like more in depth about how to use Relay to do banking advisory and how to talk to clients, how to get them excited about it. All right, so that brings us to our last polling question, and we'll try to answer some questions in the last few minutes as the polling question gets launched. And the link to the certification is in the chat right there, join.relayfi.com/relay-certification. Go check it out. And you can tell us if you want to get certified in Relay. And then let's do a polling question while people are voting, or let's do a Q&A question while people are voting on the poll. So Christy says, how is all of this free? That's a good question. Well, again, the pro bill pay is $30 a month. So that's one way that Relay makes money. Deanna, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, and then the main revenue stream as to why it's mainly free is most of our revenue comes from interchange on card spend. So every time you use a debit card, we get a percentage back from that, but it's not a charge you'll ever see as a user. So that, unless you're upgrading to Pro or doing a wire, it's completely free to use.
I'm going to take down this poll in just another couple seconds. Make sure you answer if you need CPE or if you just want to give feedback and want to hear from Relay soon. That's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So next steps, right? Get your Relay partner portal, get certified. There's the links right there to do that. I think it's a really natural next step. If you're doing cloud-based bookkeeping and accounting, if you're getting involved in payroll, if you're getting involved in bill pay, be a banking partner too. Have a recommendation, have a strong opinion, and I think your clients will be really happy. I personally had a client on Wells Fargo, was reluctant when I spoke to her about moving to Relay. And so I said, hey, and this is something we talk about in the certification. I said, hey, you don't have to give up your bank account that you've had in that relationship. Let's just add Relay. We're going to use it as an operating account, and I'm going to be able to pay the bills from it. And oh, by the way, it's going to create more security because you're going to have most of your savings, your 3 months of cash on hand in Wells Fargo. And we're just going to transfer the money we need to operate the business into Relay for now. And she loves it. Angie asked, is this available in Canada? It is not. It is US companies only at this time. And if you want to reach out and have more questions about Relay, Deanna is happy to answer those.
Yes, absolutely.
Deanna@relayfi.com. And you can also reach out to me if you want to chat with me, Blake@relayfi.com. I love to hear from folks attending our webinars and talk about the future of accounting services. It's a very exciting time. Like, there is no better time to be offering these kind of services, accounting and bookkeeping. Some people like to call it CAS. I like to call it just accounting, because that's what it is. We're getting back to our roots as accountants, which is working with small business owners. And yeah. Deanna, anything you want to add?
No, I think I'm all good. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. And please slide into my email. I'm happy to talk one-on-one about, how to get started with Relay.
Thank you so much, everyone who attended and participated. Thank you again to Blake and Deanna and Olivia. You guys were fantastic. Relay looks like a great option for people looking to expand their services with their clients and make things easier. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us at Insightful Accountant, and we will hopefully see you soon. Look out for your CPE certificates in your email sometime soon. Thanks.